Can you see this? Let's see if I can get the angle right. Can everybody see this? Is there any mistaking these binders and what's on them? One of them says Smallville, the movie, the reunion, the Jonathan Kent years, manuscript, first copy, fully printed in rough draft. And then the other one says the same thing, Supergirl, movies 2, 3, and 4. Don't Bank on the Banks. First copy, fully printed in rough draft, which it still is. Both of these binders are still sitting on my shelf in my Gatineau, Quebec apartment, which I have not been able to figure out how to be able to get back to and enjoy myself. This is me holding up in color to show you the size of the trilogy, of the Supergirl trilogy, back in 2016 when I finished it, which was the year that Tom Welling announced that Jessie was his girlfriend publicly. Now, I had already been there in the background and been around for years prior to that. My career literally does go back all the way to the beginning of his, whether it's my security career or my writing career. I've been there from the start. This picture is not about the Smallville movie in that sense of what I'm talking about here today. It's about other issues going on around Donald Trump and the White House and the tariffs, Justin Trudeau, and the invisible war Armageddon that we are living through, or Civil War, or World War III in a civil way. And the fact that there's now a new Supergirl movie trailer with kids that are literally just kids. They don't have enough life experience. They don't have enough acting experience. They're not old enough for the parts. They have no lived experience, haven't seen enough of the world, haven't read enough books, haven't been to enough libraries or enough places to be able to pull off something done by Faye Dunaway and Helen Slater back in the Gene Hackman era of perfection of films. And so this trilogy has Donald Trump in it. So you could call that prophecy because I'm born on this side and Canadians are on average 10% more intelligent than our cohorts to the south who do not read enough books, who do not travel enough, and they certainly don't come over here to know how different we are as people and as artists. And so it's been sitting on the shelf in first draft since 2016. And I tried to reach Donald Trump, sent a letter to his people in New York and a little sample section to say, do you want to be in a Supergirl trilogy? Do you want to play yourself as Donald Trump? Do you want to be one of the significant characters in part of the storyline? Because if not, I have to change it, right? And the goal was to get the trilogy to Gene Hackman while he's still alive. Now, why I say I worry about crying is because a lot of people were still alive in 2016 when Tom started dating this girl. And what we're learning here in this video today is how much damage and how much harm can be caused with dishonesty. Now, when he first started dating her, I didn't do anything. I didn't say nothing. I wasn't writing anything. I wasn't posting anything anywhere. I was advertising and promoting my life. Now, I was doing the best I could to fight for my right to be successful on my own merits and with my own skills as an independent writer without being paid to write something commercially, to make fast action, noisy, distracting, expensive crap that people always leave the theater disappointed in, instead of having a deep story, deep connection with characters, and the co-stars are feeling it, where you are arguing about whether the book and the movie are better, and promoting a new way of having more material in the movie than the book, so people have to own both in order to enjoy the full experience of it, which I'd be the first writer, producer, actress to do. Now, I couldn't reach Gene Hackman because I wasn't even able to leave the country, couldn't get across the border in my Superwoman van. Hang on, we're going there. It's somewhere. Where's my Superwoman van? Oh, anyways, as I look for the Superwoman van picture, I actually got sent back from the Manitoba border because they wouldn't let me go to where Gene Hackman was. This would have been around 2011, before I had even finished writing Supergirl. I was just having probably halfway through Supergirl. And I hadn't finished You've Got Mail 2 yet. Well, I had all the pictures last night. So, okay, I'll just have to use my phone. I wasn't allowed to stay. It's a free hotel or motel place kind of thing in New Mexico or nearabouts to where Gene Hackman lives, still in his retired life. They said it was illegal for me to make a living using my 7-passenger Superwoman van. So it was illegal for me to promote myself wearing my Superwoman clothes. I had a full outfit on, decked out from head to toe, jacket and everything. And if people follow my Instagram pages and have followed my YouTube videos all the way back to 2011 when I started the channel, then you've seen it all. You've seen me in it. If you go to eBay and you're looking for my listing, so you'll see that I have a package of material that essentially should be bought by Tom Willing first, because of how much of what's in there is actually for him to get to know me, how long I've been there, and what all of this is about. For me and my working with Tom, it had nothing to do with Smallville, or wearing tights or a cape or flying or saving a girl. However, if you know anything about my life and its background and how hard it's been, it makes complete sense that if there's any girl in the world that he's going to fly in a suit to save, then it would be me. And I'm talking about like the girl in the story around my real life, so you can have like that sort of fictional drama connected to real life situations to make it plentiful. For instance, we have this unidentified supersized Black Widow spider under a bridge on the Millennium Line, and I haven't seen anybody come forward claiming that they put it there or that they've got remotes. So there's like this whole crossover thing with Peter and Spider-Man and the senses tingling. What if there's this life-size spider that can eat humans? So this would be a scene, this would be a moment where Superman's like, hey, this one person is really important to me. She's all that matters out of the whole world. And so you could see this scene where he's swooping in and he's flying in his suit. He's rescuing this girl and realizes he's that big and strong, because you have to be able to be big and strong enough for how big she is if she's a natural superwoman. I am a swimmer by profession, by trade. It is my sport. I have been swimming all of my life. I have also worked with weights. I have some of the biggest swimmer's arms on the planet, so it's extremely intimidating to most men. I do get this. However, around athletic men who like women in beautiful form, it's not so bad. They kind of appreciate and value what it takes to be in that situation. Bad news is, because of my health issues, I'm going for gastric bypass revision. I have to have a hernia removed and severe acid reflux. The living alone is so dangerous, I could die from it. So I'm going to lose some more of the shape and size of the athlete I was looking to be on a workout routine with the right professionals. And I guess you could say, because of all the drama that's gone wrong in my life from the beginning, that also would cause a bunch of anxiety and stress, which does not help the health issues as you grow. And I had long, beautiful hair, and then I got this skin irritation in the back of my neck. And of course, after having long, beautiful hair for like 17 years, what does the doctor say? You have to cut it. And of course, I'm 50. And so when you have this surgery, it unfortunately thins your hair out. So then you have more hair falling out and then you get annoyed. So it's even worse now, like the guy he played when he was in Draft Day, and he actually got paid to shave his head. And that was pretty much what we paid him to do. So we could stand up in the living room next to the girl that played the wife in the movie scene. So he said his 3 lines so he could be in a Kevin Costner movie. He was wondering why this guy not doing lead roles and getting famous like the rest of us. I might have to shave my head, like literally cut off all the hair after the surgery to regain control of being able to create new characters that I can sustainably do at this point in my life when I'm in post recovery and figuring out what the long-term weight loss outcome will be in my health. And I worry because I honestly don't understand the publicity of the news, the people online, CBC radio, the press. Again, baffles my mind. I was naturally born here. I am naturally the writer of these superhero movies and other major motion picture movies, of which Hollywood's never going to produce or buy from me because it's not for sale, right? My character, my true character, my conviction is not for sale, right? I don't need Hollywood. I don't need Hollywood producers. I don't need their technology. I don't need their schools. I don't need their staff. I don't need their actors. I don't need their money. What I do want is people that are sincere. What I do want are people who want to be with the future, who want to be part of a future, who want to have a future. I want people who understand that I've been there so long in the background in security and in my life in film school alone and growing up watching the most amount of TV, black and white, color, movies you could possibly put into a Canadian mind around the Hollywood and worldwide industry of music, being that I have United Kingdom, British ancestry. That's a lot of knowledge. That's a lot of impact. That's a lot of power. So the point of this situation is that there's all this publicity around somebody he met at some sort of horse stable place. I'm allergic to everything, to the point where it's like Charlie Baker would have to make sure he has an emergency kit for all these different things, which you never know will send me into anaphylaxis. But his dad gets scared, doesn't even want to go anywhere where there might be too many mosquitoes or she might die. So I love horses. They're my favorite animal. So riding horses somewhere is not likely to happen. I listen to punk music and heavy metal music. I have definitely done recreational drugs. I do not drive drunk ever, not ever, ever, never, not once, ever. I have drank some beers before going to work, hours before I went to work. And even that one time, I got just dumped on so bad by my boss because of the image of his company. Double Impact Security in Alberta. We were there on site watching Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. They were there in a cabin, signed a contract, can't say where it is. Any rate, like he was like fatherish, like father. I'm like full grown adult in my 30s. What? And so somebody reports, hey, one of your guard staff people came into the bar and had some drinks. So I never did it again, right? Like have a job and be in a small community around cowboys because it's Alberta, right? It's rednecks, it's cowboys. And so I left at some point. I wasn't able to stay there. I had to come back to Vancouver. I'm not a cowgirl. I don't wear cow boots. I don't two-step. I don't square dance. I don't like a lot of cowboy music, country music. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not familiar with it. I wouldn't mind visiting some of those places, Texas and Dallas, because I do have some fanship to musicians like Anne Marie, Kenny Rogers, and Juice Newton. My big devastation of all of this since 2016 to now is how many people were still alive for me to work with, to show how much damage a dishonest relationship, lies, and secrets can cause when the press and the fans in the world are pushing for the same storyline that's in their imagination, and it's their dream and their desire. It's what they want. And now I've lost Margot Kidder. I've lost Phil Donahue. I've lost Kenny Rogers. Robin Williams is gone. Right? I needed all of these people alive for the movies I still want to make. All I have left now from the original Superman era is Gene Hackman, and I'm running out of time. And all I literally wanted Tom to do was help me reach my own money and reach my own career, my own success, and reach Johnny Depp and fix a situation that happened between him and my mom and my daughter when she was 4. I wasn't asking for his money. I wasn't asking for his business partnership or whatever. It wasn't that complicated. And from 2016, from the time he was dating her publicly until 2019, that girl worked in record-breaking time to find as much stuff as she could find about me in my name online to block everything. She is like the Miss Blocksky queen of the world. The very first thing she ever did was block my Superwoman Facebook page. So if you go to facebook.com/iSuperwoman, you'll see that if you asked her to pull up her computer or her phone and pull that up in front of everybody on the spot without knowing what's going on when she's being asked, she can't because she's blocked it. I don't know about you, but if Superwoman is portraying that she's there to save the world, that she's the good guy, she's a hero, she's there to help, that it makes any sense to be dating some guy who's from a 10-year successful TV show playing Superman to block the sister-like female version of the same superhero that he played on Facebook. Not sure what kind of healthy relationship you're trying to portray to the world. And I'm not sure how do you make that kind of bad look good when it's as bad as it is looking to the world. And so in the first few years of their being around each other, and I was making more Instagram accounts and posting up the stuff that needs to be on those accounts because I need those other accounts for all the important things that I am building in my future productions in my career, because I'm not a one-hit wonder. This is not a writer who writes one successful movie or book and lives on the hog and talks about all of that for years to come. I am the future. Welcome to Future Productions. I have multiple streams of projects that need to be done, stuff I am now behind on completing because of the nightmare that's gone on for these last 9 years. I've continued to work on this channel and build this channel because I want to share my voice as a person complaining about a system where they want to shut down somebody if you don't follow their rules. So the thing that happened with Tom Welling and me and all of the people that he's been influenced by around him for the last 9 years is that he's been coerced into or brainwashed into believing or thinking that if you're not somebody that's already successful or within that millionaire circle that he can be reached through in his world of agents or actors, then you're nobody. Then you aren't somebody. Then he can't talk about you. If my agent hasn't told me I can talk about you, if my agent hasn't told me I can say your name, if I don't know that this material you're writing is coming to light for real and it's coming through Warner Brothers or through Al, and Al told me this and that, then I can't talk about you. I can't say anything. And the thing is, the real Tom underneath all of that is not like that. He would not essentially ever be somebody to make mistakes like that. So all of this is leading towards who Superman really is, who Clark really is, okay? We're all going to get some Bible study in here, right? So in this article I'm going to read to you guys, this is post his being arrested for a DUI, and I guess that's the mugshot. Sorry. The friendship in there is killing me. It runs deep. So he doesn't look anything like my Clark. He doesn't look anything like what the fans miss. It's not the same guy. And so I had to read this, and so it made me realize I need to share this with all of you guys. Tom Welling is worlds apart from his Smallville days in unrecognizable mugshot. It's true, right? Doesn't look anything like the guy that played Clark. So there's a reason we're doing this here. The Bible stuff is coming. Tom Welling rose to fame in the zero years, right? 2000s, for playing the ever iconic Superman in the hit TV show Smallville, and has since become a beloved member of the superhero fandom. Known for his gorgeous looks, he led Smallville through an incredible 10 seasons, making it the longest running superhero series of all time. Now that's where I come in. The only reason the show ended when it did is because I should have been there during the time they were doing casting calls for season 9. I was really far north, like 24-hour drive away. I didn't have the exact location to where the show was shot in Burnaby, and I didn't have any money because that's the life of a starving artist. And when you're working in security for somebody else, you just never make enough money, right? So when I started writing inspirational episodes, ideas for the show, that's when stuff was going really wrong on the TV show. The stuff they were doing wrong in season 8 and on upset me so much. I stopped watching the show and I wouldn't let my kids watch it. It's just a no. It's inappropriate. It's not family television. It sure is not, heck, not stuff you need young kids being exposed to growing up in the world when you're trying to raise good Christian children who make righteous decisions in their adult lives. So if I had gotten on the show to do what needed to be done for Clark and the high school reunion prom thing, the prom king thing, the dream thing where Brainiac freezes the situation and all that stuff, well, I have the answers. Now, thankfully, with the work I have completed in all those episodes I didn't get to make, we can still add in little stuff to fix all of that and string this out a little bit more, where you can actually have a season of episodes that fills in the story on all of that. But back then, what should have happened is that the show should have run back to back continuously with more seasons with, what's the other name of the successful show at that time? I literally just had it in my head. They never crossed the two shows over. The oh boy, Supernatural. That's it. Supernatural. We should have been running with Supernatural. Guaranteed, if I was writing, because I'm that good of a writer, our show Smallville would have kept going right into season 15 or 16, and we would have just right out past Supernatural. Now, I have to confess, never, ever have I watched one single episode of Supernatural. Ergo, Tom has never been able to cross over onto Supernatural because it is not in my head. I have, however, moved forward from the Supernatural TV show because they're younger actors, younger era, younger experiences, which I'm not part of. I'm well beyond that in my experience, in my range, in my scope. Like just my writing skills alone, never mind what my production skills would be like with the right team of people that I'd hire or the equipment that I'd use. So I didn't watch it, but I did get onto radio. And there were people doing this remake of Supernatural episodes through radio, and it rocked. I loved it. So I was listening to them use girls doing the voice parts of guys in the characters of the Supernatural episodes through the radio, and I got hooked on that. Henceforth, that's where I am today with all the years that have passed and the loss of time in my looks and my health for the character I was trying to play to fix the TV show, where I literally fix all the problems. And then John Schneider and Tom Welling and Al Ghul and what's even Michael Rosenbaum would be like, hey, whoa, magic here. What did she do? She fixed everything. So it would have been like that kind of thing. She fixed it. So those days seemed especially far away on Monday after Tom was arrested for allegedly driving under the influence near his California home. Sorry. The star looked unrecognizable in his subsequent mugshot, which saw Tom sporting a gray beard, the goatee. He's got the goatee back. Okay. Which saw Tom sporting a gray beard and large gray streaks in his hair as he stared at the camera, a far cry from his chiseled good looks. According to TMZ, police took Tom into custody after his blood alcohol level exceeded the legal limit, measuring at or above 0.08%. So that's the legal limit in Canada, right? So I have to point out something here about Tom. I'm probably the only person in the world that knows this because he's lived here and worked on the show here for 10 seasons. Canada has a lot higher alcohol content. We are not pussies. Okay? We can drink people under the table. We got you at the bars. We have always had a higher alcohol content. The first time I went, where was I? To some American town just on the border side, and I bought myself a beers, 6-pack or whatever. I couldn't get drunk. You couldn't feel anything from it. I'm like knocking back here. And the bigger the body and the amount of alcohol you're used to drinking, your liver and kidney, the harder it is to absorb any alcohol and actually get an effect. But I lost my mind because it was like 5% in the beers. And I'm like, my brain was, how many beers do I need to drink to feel any of this? So I'm going to defend him. He's a big guy. He needs a lot of beer or anything he's drinking to feel any of it at all, right? Now, I'm not advocating that he should have ever been stupid enough to drive, but that's where I ended up having to make this video today because my comment to Clark is this. If you drove to another town to go drinking hole yourself over the loss of Jonathan and not being able to get mad at him and confront him with all the things you find out now that he's dead and you need somebody to come and get you because they won't release you without somebody coming to get you. Well, I can't come and help you get home. You can't get back to the house because this time, honey, you drove too far away from home. Right. So I was laughing because in the storyline, he'd be like calling the one person that he can, which is the character in the story that you all have not read about yet. And he's saying, I can't tell my mom. And I'm like, dude, you're a man. Why can't you tell her? Right. And then it's like confessing that he's done this before where he's driven out of town, gone into the drinking hole, consumed some stuff, being Superman, eating a little more than the average bear. And also just being big and then driven home and nobody's looking. And then I'm like, you've done this before? Click, right? In the story. And so the police are like, oh yeah, okay, she's pissed. That means she's coming. But that's just not going to happen. Too far over. I'm not writing that into the story to try and rescue Clark for this because Clark in reality is a pretty good guy who would never do any of this stuff wrong. Now, apparently he was arrested in an Arby's parking lot in Eureka just the day after wishing Jesse a happy birthday via social media. I don't eat in Arby's. I've been in there so few times. I don't like Arby's food. I really can't handle American restaurants. I don't even like going out to restaurants if they can't serve me food better than I make at home. What am I paying for worse food? I just stay home and make my own, right? How to keep a good man at home. Cook him good food. Feed him enough of it. End quote. So Tom married Jesse in 2019. Now, the connection with him and Jamie White is that there were supposed to be like this little horse world thing going on. Now, I can show you a ton of horses, draft horses and so on, that shows a very, very big difference in equestrian skills and in breeding, modeling and horses than what they claim in the article about Jesse's background. Like, I hope he never rides the small horses looking like he's a champion jumper again, because it hurt me to watch that. Definitely not the right size horse for the size of the Christmas tree he is. So there are a lot of people with a lot more training and experience, and there are a lot of better breeds and horses that you could be investing your money in for all this progress in the industry. And there's a lot of horses you could be rescuing from the slaughterhouse, creating ranches like Willie Nelson has with Luck Ranch, and Gentle Giants and other places that are dealing with wild horses like I would like to do here, because they're trying to get rid of some of the wild horses we have in BC. So in that regard, there's not a thumbs up there. So they have kids now, and 2019 was the year he met me. 2019 is the year I was wearing the Superwoman t-shirt, and I went to the Toronto Comic-Con, and I spent almost all of my money for my mom, my daughter, and me to get in there so I could stand in that lineup to take this picture with him to try to jog his mind to who I am with a picture of me in person and hearing me talk for 60 seconds. I had one piece of paper that had the cover of the Smallville reunion movie picture of it. It's the same picture still on the movie script now. And I didn't know what to say in those 60 seconds. I was tongue-tied. It's the first time meeting him. I didn't know he was that tall. So you got to understand, I wasn't dressed up all girly, just a Comic-Con tour kind of situation. I walk into the scene and I'm looking up. And I'm used to being his kind of big as a woman, right? I don't take this being Superwoman thing lightly. And in my world, I am big. In my world, I'm the tall one. In my world, I have people that are shorter than me all around me all the time. So in my world, I understand his world. But never in a million years did I think, from the guy I saw playing Charlie Baker in Cheaper by the Dozen and all the other movies of his characters I've seen, and then him into Smallville, that the camera's making him look shorter was actually as big as he was. So I never thought I'd have to be looking up like that. And it caught me off guard. I had rehearsed what I was trying to say. I'm living out of my Superwoman van. Things are going very wrong. People are accosting me, violating me, robbing me, vandalizing the vehicle. I cannot get it restored and get it back on the road. Jesse's blocked me. I sent pictures of the van, and all I did was ask her to get you to help me and come and see the van. And I couldn't get anything out in that 60 seconds because all these eyes and ears were on us. And I'm like, what do I do? So I basically gave him the shirt, because the back of the shirt has the actual Instagram written on it, that I am the writer. It says Instagram.com/the Smallville movie. So I don't care what Warner Brothers says. I don't care what Al Gould says. It doesn't matter what John Schneider says. It doesn't matter what Kristen Krug says. It doesn't matter what any of them say, because of how long I've already owned that Smallville Instagram. You guys couldn't pay me enough to sell it to you so that you can save your faces now to try to make something new with this advertisement around this Cruiseville stuff. I will say that Tom's intuition is really on the ball about the Cruiseville thing, because I've got the Cruiseville thing and the private yacht stuff covered in the Smallville reunion movie already. It's just not in the first book. It's not in the first movie we're making. There is a lot of complication in details behind the second one that is not going to be so easy to get out of me. There is a reason. These $1 billion, $1 trillion, gazillion dollar flash drives are always sitting in the girls. Right? So that's a conversation. I am like the best vault on the planet for anybody in security who's got stuff of sensitive matter that needs to be discussed about what's going on before the next part gets published as a book. His intuition is right that at this point, because of the damage that's been done here in the history, that we can do an animated cartoon. But that ugly looking creature, this mugshot thing, and the thing that's in the office with Michael Rosenbaum where he sits with the other guy, that's not Clark. And it's not my Clark. And we're not using that Clark. And I have a ton of pictures of cartoons of my character as Janet and my character as Jennifer, where Tom and Clark can cross over like with their eyes like blah, because both the cartoon characters are good. Okay, I'm at home. I don't need the girls there, so I'm gonna take the flash drives out of the girls. So we're gonna go back. So 2019, he met me. I don't know what happened to his brain. So he didn't have to go back and get married to her. He didn't have to further go on in the secrets of all the things she blocked. In 2019, Tom Welling had not blocked the Smallville movie Instagram. From 2016 to 2019, he was allowing all of the feed from my Smallville movie Instagram to go through to his Instagram. He still only has the one Instagram. And from 2019 on, he didn't do much to many of the other ones either. And he's never blocked my Facebook page. Why would he block the Superwoman Facebook page if he's played Clark Kent and Smallville? And his Facebook page is only that public page where everybody can go and leave comments. And so there's been comments from me from 26 on the whole time. And the whole time she's never gone there to read stuff posted by me and my name that would make it clear if their relationship was honest or not, or healthy or not. Because there would be posts there from me that she should say, oh, wait a minute, I need to talk to him about this, or that it would make her jealous or get upset, or want him to take it down or whatever. And all of those years they were together and all that stuff was happening. Nothing was being done. Nothing was being stopped. Nothing was being said. Nothing was being discussed. When I was asking her to help me, to get him to help me, it had nothing to do with what would happen between them, based on the honesty, right? Because honesty is the best policy. But if I'm a good person with good intentions trying to do the right thing, then it only suits the other person. It only makes sense that if you want Tom to have a peaceful life and a peaceful house, then we're all going to work together to get along, right? It only makes sense. Now, I would have loved Jamie White. I would have been fine if he'd had this flirtatious history with all of his female co-stars, almost all of them, the old enough ones that go back far enough. No problem. I'm not the jealous type. We're good there. But that's not what happened. God kept throwing him Canadian women, and Canadian women, most of what he had to work with, they were fantastic. Lots of love from God in there. And there was something in Clark. This isn't Tom. This is something in Clark that was like, nah, this isn't working for me. I can't find it. It's out there. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it. And there's many times where Tom did a perfect job in his performance in the character of Clark in the show to show that Clark was saying, yeah, no, not feeling it. When he was doing the high school prom thing, my jaw just, it's like, this is where you make me cry. Because Clark is like, no, not feeling it with Lois, right? They had just cast a new actress and it wasn't the right person. When I was talking about the season stuff where they should have been casting for somebody, it should have been me. And I was young and beautiful. I was still healthy. I hadn't had my second child yet. The guy that knocked me up hadn't called me yummy yet when I asked him, what do guys see when they look at me? So I always pictured Tom going, that was such a good answer. I like it so much. We're going to make a clothing line, head to toe. And it's just called Yummy. So now he's like, I want to meet this guy that was smart enough to answer you with that word as a compliment, to knock you up with your second kid and shake his hand and say thank you because Sarah is beautiful. And we're going to make a lot of money off the clothes. So in that scene in the high school prom, you could see clearly that Clark was like looking for the one. He wanted that moment to be special, that experience to be just right. And Clark was like, yeah, high school proms, no big deal. That's not my thing. We're all right there, whatever. And the acting was so spectacular. I was just so stunned that Clark had control of Tom to the point where Tom was able to give that performance where you don't see Tom, you see Clark. And you know that Clark is like, I want you. I want that moment. And so it all come from a secret place. It's not like I go around talking to people about what's in my head and my heart. So I've never had a high school prom. I never had a steady anything in high school. I've never been corsaged. I've never had a thingy around my wrist or here. I've never had a Valentine's. I've never had a bouquet of roses or bouquet of flowers. I've never had anybody buy me a heart box of chocolates. I've never been kissed under the mistletoe. And so that's why I love writing, because I have the power to create beautiful stories in the characters. And I can control how much of what they have, when they have, so that it all gets done. And somehow Clark knew from season 2 of that TV show, just beelining it in that yellow t-shirt that had no label on it yet, no design. But he just wanted one thing to happen, work out in his experience of playing the part. He had one deadline, one goal, one story he was trying to tell, and he was beeline straight for it. And when Tom left the show and stayed by himself and was single and alone for those 6 or 7 years before he ended up being convinced by Michael to go hang out and start a Facebook page and an Instagram account, he was doing fine. He was right on track with all of that. Then we wouldn't be reading these stories about how far he's gone off from being the guy we all wanted him to stay so he could keep doing what we love doing and keep the world safe and better place and a brighter day, rainbows everywhere, happy, to what's happened. And so now we have to figure out how can we rescue what's left of what's going on around the fact that these people still haven't committed to telling the truth. I don't need to have an agent. I don't need to have a publicist. I don't need to be published by some big wig name or company. I don't owe anybody any money to publish or market or promote or talk about me when they didn't do any of the work. Right? What part of my work and my projects are you to be paid for if you haven't pitched in for it? Right? I'm allowed to be Jennifer. I'm allowed to be talked about. I'm allowed to have people say, hey, there's this person that has pretty good evidence that she's written some pretty good stuff that we should probably take pretty seriously. And that it's going to make Canadians a lot of money. And there's a lot of work there for Canadians and local businesses. Everyone from Montreal that's screaming for work in the entertainment industry all the way across the country. Not only can these be made into animation, theater, stage, audio, ebooks now that even have audio, you can make them in IMAX, not just regular theater. And all of that can be done from our side and hire people out from Europe and come over here too. And so I don't know how to bring my Clark home, but when you go on in the article here, since the show ended in 2011 after being on the air for 10 years, Tom has acted in more minor roles such as The Winchesters, Lucifer, and Professionals. Yeah, so as a Christian, the Lucifer thing is a no. The guy who played the role was the son of a priest, so that's a double no. I've never seen anything for the Winchesters. I just don't have time. I'm too busy dealing with my own career and the mishaps of the years that he's missed out on all of the work that's been available to write and making a bigger career for himself by taking on the right roles and reading the right scripts and having the right person guide and lead his experiences and skills and conscience. What is right and wrong and professionals. So anyways, moving on in the story. He reprised his iconic role in 2019 in a CW Arrowverse crossover episode titled Crisis on Infinite Earths, where his version of Clark Kent sacrificed his superpowers and lived content as a farmer with Lois Lane. Now that is just not reality. If anybody has ever seen the original Superman stories, anybody knows anything about what happened on Krypton, if anybody knows anything about the birth of Superman, then everybody absolutely freaking knows that the reason that Superman was sent to Earth was to save the planet. If anybody's watched the Superman series, and everybody knows that his fathers told Superman, like, essentially, son, if you could just be a priest and never get married, never have sex, and never make babies, and just live down there on the earth in peace and save the whole world, that would be awesome. Right? Because that's essentially the job you need to do in order to be allowed to live on that earth peacefully with those people, because there's lots of bad people down there and you've got to keep that place operating and people safe in order for you be able to live there too. That was essentially the story. So this was a major no. That's just not going to happen. Right? The kryptonite problem needs to be solved. The planet does need to be rebuilt. There is another planet called Argo where there are other people related to Superman and his cousin that are on that planet, people from his planet on Krypton. Obviously, we're not on Krypton the day that the Krypton planet blew up. There would be people from his clan that would have been on Argo visiting their cousin families that would still be alive on Argo, and vice versa. There would have been people from Argo that would have been visiting family on the Krypton planet. So there's clearly a lot more there in the background and the history of all of this than just him taking on this little short stunt crossover because of all the people with all the money that have all the plug power and all the prestige about it. There was already a cartoon character of Lois Lane that had the reverse storyline where how can she be with her Superman? How does she get to be with him forever? Because that whole thing has been a problem since the beginning of the Superman story when uh, Jor-El's telling his son, you have to be careful about love and relationships because your job on this earth, now that you're here, is extremely important and it's like above all else. Um, so she thought, what if I become a superwoman? What if I get superpowers? What if I'm able to do things and be with him? So in the actual past history of the cartoon and the story, she's the one that took on the superhero powers in order to be with her Superman. It's not this way that they did it here in this Crisis on Infinite Earth. I don't have the little tattoo sticker with me to show you guys here now, but that's how many mistakes are being made. That's how bad things go wrong when the truth isn't told, when things aren't done the right way. When asked if he would consider taking up the mantle again, the former heartthrob shared that the prospect excited him. I think now because of the two boys that I have, we have a bunch of costumes at home. It started out at the first Halloween, and now we have, I don't know, 40 or 50 costumes. And then the one costume we don't have is the Superman costume. He continued, I asked my son why, and he said because he's taken. And I said by who? And the answer is by you. That was like, all right, I think I'm open to the idea now. So I got to stop there. This is what all of this is about. Clark is not big on holidays. Clark is not big on costumes. In the TV show for 10 years, one of the things that's an ongoing battle with the fans that make them angry and want to throw tomatoes at Tom, live or on the screen, is he wouldn't wear the costume. He wouldn't actually show himself flying because Clark was very intent on his commitment of finding the one and finding the story and finding the reason, the where, the when, and the why. Tom was not willing to take on the story of the commitment that Jor-El was telling Kal-El about needing to be basically perfect and taking care of the world and people to be down here coinciding on this earth. The first Halloween party Tom ever went to with her that I know about is what's got me in this trouble. It's what all the tears I'm suffering, all the hurt I'm suffering, all the pain I'm in is from. I didn't contact or make posts or comments about the two of them when that was happening until she did this thing that's coming up. She posted a video of him walking behind her with her phone at this a party. So it's clearly Halloween party. I mean, he's walking behind her and he's wearing nothing. He's got a t-shirt and jeans on. Okay. Whoa, back up. No, don't go there. I didn't say nothing. I meant that he's not wearing any costumes. And in my history of my Tom, and in my history of my Charlie Baker, in my history of Clark and Rob Metzler and all the characters he's played, Halloween parties and costumes are not his big on thing. He's not even big on birthdays and cakes. He was always uncomfortable about what to think or feel about all of this because he's always aware in the back of his head, God is real. He's not God. He works for God. And God has all the answers. And all of these things matter. And that there is religion out there that says to people, this is not good stuff. Don't do it. And so somewhere inside of him, he knew this might be wrong, or it's probably very wrong, and I shouldn't do it. So he didn't do it that first time he was there. And if you look at the people that were around them in that party, he didn't fit in there. He didn't belong there. Superman shouldn't be there. Clark shouldn't be there. It's not the right place for him, for his soul, for his character. So I got really upset because she is wearing these devil horns on her head. And she puts in the Instagram after she posts it, handsome devil. I blew a gasket. I lost my mind because my Charlie Baker, my Clark, my Rob Metzler, like my work, my life, my religion, my moral beliefs, my spiritual goal with Tom, all of it blew on her posting that because that's not what the world sees. That's not what the fans see. That's not what they want. And I had to defend him. And I wrote back and said, no, he's not a handsome devil. I said, when I look at him, I see halos and heaven. And my point was that I was trying to say that he's the good guy. He plays Superman. He's a superhero. He works for God. He's not the bad guy. He's not going to play the bad guy. He isn't the guy that played the bad guy just because he went on the show with the bad guy's name. So I was really upset that she wouldn't take the hashtag down. She wouldn't take the video down. She thought it was funny. She liked the fact that she had the ability to keep dating him and keep promoting the TV show Lucifer, and the fact that Tom Welling was on that TV show post the Smallville TV show in those 10 seasons, because she had no part of his life or those 10 seasons or that world he was in. She has no idea about his life here in Vancouver. Right? We have a higher alcohol content, 7-8%, and higher, so that people as big as him can actually drink a few glasses of wine and beer and actually feel some effect. So when I found out that happened, I was downtown leaving the library. I wasn't dancing and moving. I was listening to Son of Man, Phil Collins, and I was listening to stuff around the show. I can't stand to fly. Men were not meant to fly with clouds between their knees or whatever. And I was thinking, honey, you're driving in the wrong country. You're drinking the wrong alcohol. You're used to higher content alcohol. So he's used to being able to drink 7-8% or more. So he can only have to drink a few cups, a few glasses, a few beers, and get the effect he's needing to get the edge off, so he can relax and, just chill. So over there, he's had to drink more to feel anything, which has led to this. So I can't help him get back to the farmhouse. I can't help him get back to his mom. But I can understand that his doing this emotionally and saying all these good things about Michael being a good person and being honest, his good friend, and that she's a wonderful person, and that she spent all these years trying to make bad look good, starting from that first post that I commented on, where I fought her back and said, no, he's not a handsome devil. He's halos in heaven. He works for God. He's Superman. He plays the good guy. That it just kept going. Through the years, she just continued to use the hashtag handsome devil. She just continued to post other things behind his back. She just continued to spy on him, doing videos of things around him, and didn't tell him, didn't show him, didn't even ask him. Just showing that she got close enough to have the power, to have the liberty to do that. It's like she had a picture of his arm. He's delivering sandwiches to guests that come to the place to visit at some place they lived at before. And it's like, dude doesn't get any privacy in his own personal life off camera to serve his guests finger sandwiches on a platter. But you have to shoot a picture of his arm, which, by the way, the people in the article that are writing about how far off he is from the person we knew him as and who he was in the mugshot, that arm fits the conversation here. It was in terrible shape. He has not worked out. He's not got a six-pack life going on here. It's not that person. It wasn't an arm where there should have been some impressive thing about it for her to be posting that. And there were moments I was so frustrated because I couldn't send him any messages as security in the background, that I've done this job for so long with him. And I never got paid for all the things I've done right in this job and trying to protect him from a lot of crazy people, lots of girlfriends that are all like, oh, he's my next boyfriend, or he's my lover, my husband, whatever. People trying to espionage ways money. They're like, oh, I'm getting divorced and I have this briefcase of money. Please help me. I'm Tom Welling and the bank accounts are frozen. I'm in process of divorce. It's just all this weird stuff. And I had no way of getting it to him. And so it makes me look weird because I even went to police. I went to one of the co-stars agents in Toronto to say, look, Tom's in trouble. There's a problem. He needs to see this stuff. And I'm telling you, Tom's been trusting all of these people, relying on all these people, and accountability around him, thinking they're all good people and honest and that he's safe. And he's been anything but that. It's the furthest thing from the truth. walking around surrounded by all this uh, circumstances of evil, possibilities for anything bad could happen, around the bad already happening that would make it much worse. So I just got really frustrated that she would just continue to promote negativity. Bad is bad. She videotaped him through the blinds of a window, and he's outside in the daytime, in the sunlight, in the blue sky, with the stroller and his son, trying to have a private phone call. I don't pretend, but he's on the cell phone. And right then, I was like, "Ah!" Because I want to send him the message, like, keep walking with the kid in the stroller away, away from the window. Just move away. Don't stand there, because he's out there for like that privacy and he's not getting it, not even there. And now he's out there not even aware. He's on the phone, clueless that this Jesse is spying inside this house in this dark room behind the blinds of him out there doing that, and then writing these emotional messages and hashtags about the handsome devil and stuff. And so I'm like, this is not working. He needs this information so he can protect himself and do what is necessary. There's a reason people hire security. There's a reason why you have bodyguards. There's a reasons why you have cameras and audio equipment and stuff, because sometimes it's just necessary to protect your sanity. Because if your intuition and your instincts are telling you something's not right about this, I feel off about this, odds are you're probably right. And it just kept going like that through the years with her. And every once in a while, I would get fed up and have to write something again, and share something again about what's going on with my career and my cooking and my other accounts. And that you don't do things like this if the relationship is open and honest and it's healthy. When she posted a message of him carpentry work in the backyard, this was the camel for me. The husband is building things, and husband is building things. Great. So that's not even an emotionally healthy, mature, adult, mental space of mind to be in a married life with somebody, to be talking like. If anybody knows anything about Tom Welling's background as a person, any of the guest shows that he's done, anything about his marriage to Jamie White, it's a woman I wish he had given the children to and stayed with until he absolutely knew why he was leaving and what he was leaving over. He was so good with her. It was so good. He was safe. So he was on a nighttime talk show. And every time you listen to him talk about Jamie, he didn't say Jamie this and Jamie that. He would say, my wife. My wife, my wife, my wife, my wife, my wife, my wife, because he's not in a state of psychosis. He's not mentally incapacitated in understanding when you're trying to be in a committed relationship with people where you're wearing a ring, that you're supposed to behave and act in a certain way. And that was not happening in this situation. There was another picture where she was promoting alcohol, empty bottles of booze, where she was alone with all these kids when they're still in diapers, and made another comment about the fact that she's trying to explain to them, oh, this is your future, right? The future is alcohol. The future is booze. The future is drinking. And my Tom would flip his bird. My Tom would lose his lid. My Clark, my Superman would totally go, okay, wait a minute, time out. If that's what this person's like alone with my kid and other people's children, I clearly know I can't trust this person's immaturity and age difference in development with my kid alone because of the kind of things that she's going to coerce or encourage as healthy and normal. So she's just instinctively doing everything opposite of who I am and what I stand for. Now, I don't practice Halloween. And for all those years that he's been doing his career, his characters and him have been pretty in sync with me. The reason that Halloween got invented is actually a very bad story about the people that we see walking around looking like ghouls in the world already. See, there was all kinds of bad practices happening, which still happen. But back then it was way worse, way more dangerous. Nobody ever knew who was going to be next to die in any of these weird things. And people wanted to live. They wanted to stay safe and stay alive. So when these holidays or these evil incantations or idol worshiping things were going on at this time of the year, at that time in the world, people were like, okay, what can we do to stay safe and sort of just blend in? So they're like, oh, well, if we just cover up and we just wear black and do things to sort of just be ignored so we can sort of just get by to go do what we're doing and not have to worry about being targeted or killed. That's sort of how the whole concept of costume in that era of, oh, let's give it a Devil's Day atmosphere to it, is what started it. And it's not okay. The devil's not God. He's not the good guy. You can't serve both God and mammon. So you can't serve the devil and still expect to get blessed by God playing the character of Superman. And so she was deliberately finding ways to sabotage, to divert his ability to be able to succeed at playing Superman again, Clark again. And so after so many Instagram accounts and messages through the time, that's what got me to go, okay, I have to go meet him. But I happened to be already in the van. Why can't I find the picture of the van? The van. Okay, I'm just going to do it from the phone. Okay. We're going to go here on the files. We're going to go to Facebook. We're going to go to my Facebook. Okay, so the Facebook looks like that, right, guys? And Tom never, ever, ever blocked that on his Facebook. People could go to my Facebook from his Facebook. And she never, ever, ever unblocked it, and she never talked to him about it. She blocked that Facebook the very first year in 2016 when I told her not to call him a handsome devil and that he was halos in heaven and that the fans look at him and see somebody good and they want to see the world stay in the light. My goal in all of this religiously had been to save Tom. When I saw him as Charlie Baker for the first time in Cheaper by the Dozen, all I wanted to do was play in that movie with him as the new Mrs. Baker on a book tour, but a cookbook instead, not about raising 12 kids. And things couldn't have gone any worse, any farther from that point to where I am now in regards to what my intent was around it. Birthdays, you have to be careful about, cautious about. Idolatry and worship, all of that stuff is very sticky on the line of what's going on in all of this. And he's done pretty good overall with the kind of costumes he wears. So here are some pictures of the Superwoman van. There she is. So if all of Hollywood is wondering why from 2016 till now at 2025, none of you have seen me driving around in it, it's because of all the dishonesty and the crime and the violence of the things that were stolen. I had Superman t-shirts that people stole from me. I had this van destroyed. Let's see if I can show you. Okay. After the van had been sitting in a Canadian Tire for some years because I couldn't afford to restore it, because I couldn't get Tom to come and look at it. So he couldn't see how I was living in it when I needed it fixed. And the fact that I had to stay living in it while I was paying rent somewhere else. And then I had to leave after I was done school. This is what happened to where it went sitting at the Canadian Tire. So this has been cleaned up since then. But that to give you an understanding of what went wrong in my life when I couldn't leave Canada on time with all the stuff that I am the writer of, that I'm telling the truth about. Well, the van since then does not look like this, but that just shows you how disheveled my life is when people won't talk about me. And I haven't done anything wrong to anybody. And I don't think being Superwoman is a bad thing. It's not something you can make look bad. Sometimes bad just looks as bad is. Now let's see if I can find what the van looks like right now. I don't think you can see the flat tires. This is sort of an angle of where the van is right now. It's hiding safely on Gamble Street in Toronto. I still haven't been able to get it restored and move it. It's still stuck in the same city. So I had hoped he would have been able to get there afterwards, that he would have messaged me because he always had access to me. He had put me on his messenger in 2017. And I was there promoting myself and having my picture taken with people. And one of those was a politician. But even the politicians wouldn't help do anything. And this was not in 2019. This would have been a little bit after that. I was there last year to help my daughter support her band and the bands across Canada. So he's celebrating Halloween and wearing costumes. It's not my Clark. It's not Superman. Now, in that article where they talk about that Superman is taken, it literally is the truth. The biggest thing I was trying to get across to Jesse. Geez, my head. I'm just losing my head today. Okay. Where did I put all of my stuff? Oh, I know where it is. I know where it is. The box fell on the floor. Stay with me, guys. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for waiting for me to come back. So, what I'm trying to say, that I was trying to say to Jesse, when you date a movie star or musician or a model or even a porn star, they're not yours. They're not all yours. You can't have all of them. If you're not there from the beginning and you don't know all there is to know about them, then you can't have all of them because you don't know anything about all of them, right? You can't possibly be a soulmate for Superman you know nothing about when you're promoting everything negative about the TV show that he was on, that he only played Kane in after the TV show. So clearly you're not interested in Superman or superheroes or the Superman show. But what I'm trying to say is that Superman is taken. And he's always been taken. All the way through the show, he was taken. And he's still taken. And the only place anybody's going to get back to that Superman is in here. Which is in here. And in here. Of not just my work and my life and time and career, but that of the fans. And the demand that they all have. Everybody wants to see Clark become Kal-El from Krypton. Everyone wants to see Kal-El become Superman and stay that man and be happy and live for himself. Everyone wants to see Superman be Superman and not have to lie or cheat or keep secrets or hide who he is. He doesn't have to keep erasing people's memories and walking around and live in secrecy. Rebuild his planet and have the option of going between two planets and going to meet more people that are alive from his planet and other relatives that are alive on another planet that he's had all this time to go to. Everybody wants to see him fly. And there's only one way that's going to happen. And it isn't with the girl that keeps calling him a handsome devil and celebrating alcohol and Halloween as God and good and righteous. You have to choose sides. You can't be doing that and think God is still going to bless you with what's in this work. And the fans are going to get what they want. Then you're forced to have to, I found it. Then you're forced to have to hire somebody else to play the part. So what it's come down to is Tom is right. We have only the animated series. There's only a cartoon we can make at this point. So this is the Superwoman band. It was in pretty good condition when I first bought it here in British Columbia. But because of all the Highway of Tears murders and crimes ongoing with overdoses and drugs and so on, and the investigative work I was doing, I couldn't stay anymore. I had it because nothing was being done. Cops were not doing their job, and we were not hiring outside forces outside of the country to do work elsewhere. So all I can say is that Superman is needed in Canada. He has to come back. Superman is from this side, right? The inspiration of that character is Canadian in history. I have other bad news for America. Wolverine, get your butt over here, right? We're having issues with the forest and the birds. They're pretty ticked off. Your mind needs some work on it. Wolverine is also from this side, and he can't go home until the whole story about all of that is told as well. But his character in comic book, all of it is created here. I have alien landing pads, and I have Jurassic Parks with bones to show people. I have deadly highways for Vin Diesel to drive. I have all kinds of stuff. Fred Flintstone, like it's just a mess. This is the new Hollywood. It is future productions. So all I can say is, Tom, give me the keys. You've lost your right to drive. I'm going to read in closing a letter I wrote to the Comic Con Expo organizers from last year, April 5th, 2024. Because it's not okay to not say hi. I know about Jennifer Cooley. I know about the Smallville Instagram. I know about the sample pages she was promoting of the Smallville movie. I know about her posts on my Facebook page. I know about her invitation to go to the big convention in New York that I didn't accept, and clearly I should have. And yes, we did take a picture together in 2019. And no, I didn't actually contact her at the end of the day through Messenger because I had already put her on my Messenger back in 2017. So we could meet privately so she could see what it was I was trying to show her, the emergency of the condition the van was in. So life goes on, and now I have to find other people to do things over here because I don't need to go over there to do all of this. But if he still wants to work, he's going to have to come back over here and fight for it. The gloves are off. Who are you? Right? Of all the characters you've played, what do you believe in? What do you stand for? What do you want to stand for? Where are you going with your life? Right? How much more acting do you want? How many parts? My plan had been to keep him busy working with him, co-starring in all of these different things that I had been there all the way through this professionally with him and having fun. Some couples do that. They just keep making movies together because they're happy together and they have the experience and the degree to do that with. And he made a movie recently of that same nature with other people. I'm not interested. I won't watch it. They don't talk about me either, and they also know about me. So, like, if you don't say that you know anything about all of the stuff that's obvious, then I'm not going to keep trying to lean over and bend over backwards to try to suit other people. I'm too old for that, right? I have a backbone. I'm not afraid. So this is it, I said. Are you ready to make history, my friends? I know I am. The Smallville cast needs to fess up about knowing me and knowing about the Smallville reunion movie. That does exist. It's time for them to be asked what they have to say about knowing about the movie for over 4 years. You guys have known about the promotion of the sample pages since I started writing it after I finished writing the trilogy. In 2016, the very same year I finished the trilogy, I started writing the Smallville movie. It just came pouring out of me because of all those years I had those unsettled episodes I never got to promote. I mean, this connects all the way back to the 2011 year when I started making this YouTube channel. It should be good comedy and laughter to see them all trying to find their answers without them being able to check in with each other in advance, knowing this question and answer period is coming. With no staging, you will then clearly get their real reactions and how they respond about a matter they can no longer lie about or say silly things about, wishing there was a movie and what they would do if there was one, etc. You guys are really good, but it's really bad. Even Michael's sister, when I bought something from her that she painted that I knew would be perfect gift for Tom, even she was afraid to reach out to Tom and tell him that I bought this from her, that I didn't commission her to do it, that it was a natural accident, that I was looking through her work, wouldn't tell him about it, and that I had bought it and that it's there for him still unopened. And she wouldn't tell her brother about it because she was so adamant that her brother only does things for himself. Never for any other reasons. Like if it doesn't serve him some sort of purpose, then he's not going to do anything about it. So she was convinced he won't tell Tom that you bought something I painted for him as a gift about one of his kids. Well, it was just the one at the time. The people who attend these events pay good money to go to them and deserve the best quality and highest value for their hard-earned money and time. They are the ones that are keeping the famous and successful people going. Famous and successful and rich at the end of the day, after all, right? Aren't they? It's the fans. Oops, my battery. I got to get my plug in. We're going to switch locations. Oh my gosh, my bed is just covered in books and envelopes and things. Okay. Okay. So back to where I was. Where was I? I don't know. Give me a second. Okay. All right. So the fans around the world are the people that keep the industry going, people working, right? So the fans should be receiving the best entertainment and be up to date the most, right? On the most current news, the truth, the real events. For all that they do with their time and money, for the sake of it all, for how much time they spend traveling, how much money they spend to entertain themselves or meet these people or do these Q&As, take these pictures and all that stuff, right? So the truth is always the right thing to do. Honesty is always the best policy. And that was the struggle in the story with Superman from the start, right? Jor-El wasn't trying to be mean to his son, Superman, to Kal. He was trying to get him to figure out how to grow up and figure out who he is as a man and what that means in order to know what love is before he could have it. I suggest the event put up screens with QR codes and cards I sent, or posters where people can scan them for themselves, and even better, video screens where people can see my YouTube channel and me sitting there reading the whole first portion of the second part movie, of the two-part movie, for everyone to enjoy as a sneak peek for free. Sorry, I have absolutely not given away one single iota of the second part, except to say that Tom was right about the Cruiseville thing, just not his version of it. But the horn in his head with the yacht, that was right? It's just not their version. And I'm not gonna do anything with the second part because all of this truth has to come out. The money for all of this has to come out. The apologies have got to come out. There has to be some Bible studies, some attending of churches, some sacraments. Like there needs to be some spiritual soul searching and changing that goes on, because I won't have any of this wrong stuff on my sets, on around me and my cast members. None of this promoting of bad things is good, especially when you can see how bad the bad things are, and how good the good things are. It's so obviously different that it's a wonder how people have managed to follow and believe that something so bad would look like love, even in the small L letter versus the large L, when it's that big of a difference between the two sides, like black and white. So, on with the letter. The fans deserve more. They need to be allowed to know about what's going on with me. I'm independent of the Warner Brothers. I'm not under contract. I don't owe anybody any money. I don't deal with the IRS taxation system. We don't put people in jail for being late on their taxes or owing a little bit of money, ever. I've gone 10 years and saved my money for 10 years and then got a blast of money given to me for claiming 10 years of taxes all at once. And we don't kill people if they don't have the money to pay for their hospital bills. We don't take everything they own and make them homeless to fix them and still send them a bill. And we're not going to change that. I would rather change our Canadian money into British pounds and charge Americans more money to do anything over here in American money, that they now have to switch over to British pounds and pay us more of their US dollars in order to come here to work, to make a point of how much better it is to be on this side. We don't have tsunamis. We don't have volcanoes. We don't have earthquakes. We have little tremors, but nothing like what's going to happen over there. We don't have those kind of hurricanes. We might get the odd tiny tornado in the prairie areas. But the point is, I never in my entire life desired to go to live in California. That was never the mission. I just wanted to go there to make movies and help people with the money from the movies I make. I wanted to visit the place, maybe own a houseboat or a yacht. Every once in a while, experience a nice hotel with a jet tub and have a massage getaway somewhere, but never lived there. I wouldn't, because eventually it's going to sink into the ocean. Eventually there will be an earthquake so big, it's gone. So you have to rebuild. Where's the future Hollywood? I'm not impressed by the sign. I don't need to live across the street from it. I don't need to climb it. Oh, I made it to Hollywood and take a picture of the sign. I'm good. It's been 50 years. But all the stars that have grown up raising me are now at an age where they're like, it's slowly declining. They're aging out, have passed away, or are in the state of retirement. So like, there's nothing to be in awe of anymore, because I have now met you there. We're there in the same place. I am. So if people could see me on my YouTube channel and other things that I have, this will be fair for everybody to enjoy the sneak peek of the material that is out there without me having to be a part of events that I haven't been actually officially brought in on. This allows those who attend the choice, the freedom to decide. So wherever they go, wherever they are on tour, people have the freedom to choose and decide what they want to know more about and what they want to support or follow more. And this would make things much more fair based on the evidence at hand if they were to see a YouTube channel and website of another writer and actress over here in Canada, letting the world know that there is indeed much more to come than everything you keep hearing Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum and the rest of the cast continuously repeat event after event after event. Essentially, they're just talking about the same stuff over and over again in different ways of talking about it. They're not writers, right? So they don't write the future. They don't rule the world. Writers rule the world. Without writers, you've got no work. You've got no future. There's nothing. There's no actors. Can't do any acting without the writers. I am an amazing writer. So mark my words, Tom Welling. I am an amazing writer. And I have years of work ahead to produce. So there is lots of work and entertainment for everyone on both sides of the screen, or for those who love to have their faces in books. I love to read. I love to be in libraries. I have crazy library stuff, and I need a home to actually unpack everything and have an actual permanent library. So I welcome everyone everywhere that I can reach to join me in making history together here in North America, and of course to all other parts of the world as well that, well, are within my interests and my zone, right? I have certain contentions. There are rules. There are boundaries. There are things where this is a no and a no-go, right? I won't go certain places. I won't do certain things. I won't be around certain things. I won't eat certain things. I won't do certain things. I don't want to smell certain things. There's just things. I have boundaries. And so I will hire a lot of people of my own personal choice to keep all of my casts and sets, everybody happy and safe based on those standards. God is love. God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Superman is not dead. He works for God, the higher power, the creator of the universe. And he will go on to live and exist and work for the superior creator of all things as long as the world turns and good people live on this earth and superhero help is needed. And of course, where there is Superman, there are all sorts of other great superheroes to talk about and their additional brand new stories to share with interested fans. You know, everyone in the world who all love superhero stuff. I look forward to sharing all that I have with everyone. Superwoman looks forward to sharing her story with the world and filling in the blanks on her history and where she's been all this time and what she's been doing and who she is to Superman and so on. Now, in this story, I'm not Superman's wife. There's no relationship intimately wise with the Superman Superwoman thing. Superwoman is a family member. She is a fraternal twin sister. He's got nieces he's never met. Like, there's just more story there than people know. The Lois Lane thing is not the thing. There is another person, a new person. That's the thing. Since season 2, when he was wearing the yellow shirt at the beginning of the show, there's a scene even where he's watching her drink milk from the jug in her office at the school where she's teaching first aid. And he's like, "Where'd you get your manners?" And she's like on a farm at the same time as him. And he's like, "Wait a minute, but you weren't even there." So there's this stuff that can't be taken away from the natural nature of all of this. It's an entirely new series of its own. So you can definitely make additional material to not have to make a new series. I can use Henry Cavill with all this material as well, and younger, better suited people for the parts. So it is time to talk about me. It is time to talk about her. Time to make superhero history with the characters I have in me. And I will just leave you with these final words of love and encouragement and make a request that I get my turn to be seen and heard soon. Let's discuss all the limitless investment and entertainment opportunities with everything I've written for and because of Warner Brothers and doing it proudly Canadian. So the outcome here, the dream, the end goal is that I own Warner Brothers. All of the movies I have written, the value of all of those movies in production, the sales of all the products that go with it, has actually bought Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is no longer owned by Warner Brothers. There are no Warner Brothers. There's no family. It's owned by a phone company. And the people at the top that were the CEOs were just fans of movies and were trying to come up with ways to keep income coming to pay the bills for all of America. This phone company pays for half of America's wages. So I'm going to partner with them, right? We're going to make a deal here, 60, 40, 70, 30, whatever. But the name of Warner Brothers is going to be Future Productions because of me being ousted like this for treating somebody good so bad for so long who's done nothing wrong to anybody. I'm not going to get back at anybody, seek revenge, behave bad. You're not going to see me give the middle finger or swear or scream. I'm not going to behave like that. The answer is love. Right? So you kill it with kindness. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to be kind. And so that's what drove me nuts the most about her refusing to be kind and change and apologize and write other comments. You're right, Tom isn't a handsome devil. He's a much nicer person than that. And I shouldn't be talking like this or saying things like this or doing stuff like this while he is promoting on tour stuff about Smallville and being Superman. Right? Because it goes against each other. It's counterproductive. So in the end, she's blocked all she could find and doesn't talk about it. There's still more for me to close with around him and how that thing with the Instagram went, because he didn't do what she did. There was years where he had access to many different Instagram accounts of mine. And I'm going to close on a specific thing here. It's not just about meeting in 2019. But that is the peak of it. That's what led to the end of what he ended up doing, which was where he shot himself in the foot, because that was like the last thing he should have done. It was the worst decision. So I have a dream to achieve that dream. I need your help, everyone's help, in order to reach the right places and people on time to get this work underway this year. So I had intended to do all of this last year when I was going to deal with my daughter and her band competitions for Charlie Baker and the Cheaper by the Dozen, or AKA Baker's Dozen story, because she's doing so well in her Burlington Teen Tour band, because it was Normandy's 80th and they went to Europe, and because she won silver medal across Canada, second place in Canadian High School Band Awards. It was important that Charlie be there, FaceTime with his whole family, and they're all celebrating this massive feat for my daughter, since I am Charlie's wife, or last wife, or next wife to be, or whatever in the story that has not quite been settled on. And none of that happened because this stuff is not being given to Tom. because he's not getting to read it. Not when he's on the stage or before he gets on stage. I had this huge moment where he just gets up, walks off the stage because he's read everything. And he's like, okay, I'm going to follow the instructions on here perfectly. And without saying a word to the world that he's looking at after reading everything and catching up to everything, he's like, agape, oh, wow. And he totally gets the message in that moment, and he does what he's told, and puts down what he needs to leave behind and takes what he needs to take, and he gets up and just goes. And then we would have made it to Toronto and everything would have been on time. I don't know where the copy of the pre-promotional version of the book and the little mystery box that has a ring in it that was never opened went when I sent it to the people in LA. But somebody will have something to put on eBay at some point. But as you can see by my writing, I always meant to do good by everything for everybody. So from high up above in the sky and right down here on ground level, living and walking here amongst all of you, Superwoman simply only has one thing to say. Welcome to Future Productions. For without a future, where would we all be heading, including Warner Brothers? So Tom had a book about some guy that was stranded on an island. It's a very thin book, small. Like, I don't even read books that small. And Tom asked people, what should I read next, after he told people about the book and posted the picture of the book on Instagram. So at this point, after we had that picture taken on that day, and he wasn't smart enough to ask for a copy of that picture from those people or come chasing after me when he could see what was written on the back of the shirt or the piece of paper that showed what the front image looked like. So this would have been what I had left on the table that was literally to 1.5 feet from him. You wouldn't really see in Smallville, the reunion movie, the Jonathan Kent years. It was like right there in front of him. So he didn't grab that and he left. And so for a while, there were still some Instagram accounts of mine that were still interacting with his Instagram. Now, one of the reasons he blocked Instagrams over time was because all of my stuff was hogging his feed. He'll tell you that it wasn't because he was offended or upset by me. I wasn't bugging him in a bad way, because nothing that's good about me that's good is something that bothers him. And so that would be one of the problems, because nothing I do bothers him. That's a problem. Right? I hate nothing about you, right? Is what I'm doing to him. And so those accounts actually had a purpose, because I have other movies. I have other accounts that I need. So I have a You've Got Mail 2 and 3 Instagram account. I have a Supergirl account. I have my food accounts. I have the stuff I'm doing with the missing and murdered and the downtown east side in Vancouver with the drugs and the disappearances and the overdoses, like the homelessness. It's problems. So I have all of that. And so after a while, I guess he's just like, okay, block ski. But again, it was without talking about it with her over anything. But the needle that broke the back here, the straw for me that did it, that killed me, was after we met, and he did that picture of the book he read, asking everybody, what should I read next? The last post I posted to him on his account the day that he had that picture up there, in a public comment with everybody else allowed to answer, was I said to him, you should read my first movie, my first book. And I don't know why he would think anything about me saying that. I didn't say, oh, you should read the Smallville movie. I wasn't plugging Superman. I wasn't plugging Charlie Baker. I didn't say Cheaper by the Dozen. I said, you should read my first book, my first movie. And somehow, rather than him saying, okay, or giving a heart, that sounds like a good idea, maybe I'll do that, I might have a better career, I might end up getting a better part or something if I did that. Instead of asking me, well, what is the name of your first movie, and I tell him it's another story with Joe Fox and Kathleen Kelly, and it's being shot here in Vancouver, Victoria, Winnipeg, and New York, which is where Steve Martin and Martin Short are, which is where you were born in the state of New York. So I have a plan I want to do over there. I don't even know if she knows where he was graduated from. I don't even know if she knows the favorite place where he lived growing up and all the places his parents moved him around in as a kid. And it's a disaster because I know all of this stuff. I've been around that long. I'm older. If they had those TV shows and you had like this security guard, bodyguard, or best friend versus the partner thing, and he had this game thing going on, he'd be like, okay, she knows me better than I know myself, so I don't know anything. So no matter what you ask me, the answer is I don't know. Ask her. And it's probably true. So I could probably answer most of that stuff on a game show that way. So I don't know if it's still going. He didn't read it. He hasn't contacted me about it, and he's still pretending that he didn't meet me and doesn't know anything about me, and neither does the rest of the cast, and neither does she. And she's still promoting bad is bad and good is good, and that that everything that is going on is right, and it should be that way. And that isn't what God's thinking. That isn't what God was trying to do. That isn't what God wants. So the movies are still here, and I'm still moving forward with everything that I'm doing. And that is when he finally blocked that account. And I think that's the last one. I have one more now under Future Productions, and I do not follow him on that Future Productions, but I do think he's blocked the ability for me to send any personal messages into the inbox. And I don't think it's because he's fighting with me. I think it's just because the time's up. And it's about making it a public thing, public declaration. So I think we're going to see him do something, make a move to deal with everything and all of the evidence and time of everything that's gone wrong, because it's not like him to go, I don't know who she is. I've never heard of her. I can't talk about her because she doesn't have an agent, a publicist, or hasn't been published by a well-known publisher, or hasn't had an interview, been on TV by with other people. She's just doing it all by herself. Apparently you can't get famous that way. So in history, we already know that the best writers and artists in the world have always been the unsolicited ones, and that most of them have always been robbed, ripped off, and don't become famous, successful, or have any money that's made out of their life and time until after they've died. And I do not want to see Hollywood ever be able to do that again. I'm done with it. It's over. Hollywood is dead. That industry, that system is finished. And anybody that God, serve God, be a Christian, and move forward in the future that wants to work with all of the stuff that's in here, and I got lots for all of you, then you're going to have to come over here to Vancouver and help me build Future Productions. So that's my true story about Tom Welling so far. So I'm going to go now because this is slowing down and it's acting wonky. Have a good day. I think my gigs are running low. I'm doing this tethered off my phone. So that's my truth about it. And it's taken by all of us. And so let's hope we can, with our love together and God's help and prayer, put our Superman in a suit and get him to fly and give us all the happy ending we want. Peace out, Superwoman.